SoFi investors, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason. I hope you guys all had a really good week with your investments. I am super excited to bring you some very breaking SoFi news. SoFi just hit a milestone it has never hit before in the history of this company. But before we get into the video, do me a huge favor, hit that like button. It's a great free way to support the channel, and it does really help us get into YouTube's algorithm. And if you want more SoFi updates and stock market updates, you have to subscribe to the channel. Let's get into the video. We just crossed 3,000 subscribers, guys, so thank you so much for being a part of this little baby community that we're just getting started with. But what is that major milestone that SoFi hit? What is it, guys? What is it? That milestone is SoFi just crossed 600 million shares being owned by institutions. If you take a look at your screen right here, it's confirmed by Fintel. Institutions now own 607 million shares of SoFi, almost 608 million shares. Sorry, Miss Penny Lane's shaking it off right now, guys. Institutional owners are over 1,000 too, 1,033, and that 607 million shares is 51%, almost the entire outstanding shares. But take a look at this, guys. We saw quite the trend buck, right? Over the last several months, pretty much all of 2025, we've seen a decrease and decrease and decrease and decrease in institutional ownership of SoFi stock. And then OMG, look at that spike. Institutions just bought an absolute ton of SoFi stock. Does that have anything to do with the $1.5 billion offering? It very well could. And I'm going to show you guys just who's buying the stock and how much. But before we do that, I just want to show you guys the institutional ownership not too long ago was at 49.6%. We're closing on 51%. We were at 593 million shares, and now we're close to 608 million shares, guys. So that is huge. We want to continue to see this institutional number go up and the general public go down, right? So here are some of the top shareholders of SoFi stock, led by the Vanguard Group, who owns nearly 10% of the company. Pretty remarkable there. And Jane Street Group, who owns over 5%. Everyone else is under the 5% threshold, including Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Anthony Noto, Two Sigma, Citadel, Charles Schwab, Wells Fargo, ARK Invest, some of the biggest investment companies in the entire world, guys. Now, let's go back over to Fintel and see what is actually going on. Yesterday was a crazy day. As we can see on the 15th, we did have two new institutional investors, Providence Wealth Advisors and Harvest Fund Management. You know, only 22,000 shares total, so that's nothing to like write home about. But OMG, on the 14th, I don't know what the heck happened. But green is new positions, and then if you look in the white, you could see the percent increase here in this middle column, right? So Quib Research, that it calls and puts a little bit of a straddle action here. If we take a look here, guys, we see Graham Capital Management and Elevatus Wealth Management added about 450,000 shares there. You know, we had an increase 157% from Schofeld Strategic Advisor. This all happened yesterday. CTC Alternative Strategies added 20,000 shares. Look at this. Voldres Investment Management added 91% to their investment, 16.4 million shares of SoFi, guys. Very impressive stuff here. And then if we take a look, here's some call options here and here, some put options there, very small position. But Raymond James Financial, they added a put position, but they added to their overall shareholding by 31%, 800,000 shares. And then as we go down here, we see some really big additions, right? Two Sigma Investments increased their position by 49.89%, guys. 14 million shares. It's crazy. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. If we check out right here, Cubis Systematic Strategies added 4.2 million shares. Rocos Capital Management added 2 million shares. it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. UBS Group increased their position by 41%, over 20 million shares, 21 million calls. That's crazy, guys. T. Rowe Price, a big investment company, increased their position by 5%. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And all this is happening on the 14th. Look at all this. Jane Street Global buying a bunch of call options. I mean, it just keeps going and going on the 14th. I don't know what happened yesterday, but wow. Oh, wow. Citadel bought some calls. I mean, it just keeps going. Like, look, guys, this all happened yesterday. Philadelphia Financial Management added a put position. World Quant Millennium Advisors added 350,000 shares. It's just crazy on 8/14. I don't know if there's been some rebalancing in all these funds, but it's remarkable. Let's take a look at some of the biggest investors in SoFi stock. Leading the way with 100 million shares is Vanguard Group. We can confirm that over here on Simply Wall Street, those 100 million shares. And then it looks like they did, add a little bit to the position, a little less than 1%. Then BlackRock coming in at 48 million. And Vanguard owns SoFi in a ton of different funds, all different kinds, right? Susquehanna International Group, big call position there. We see some of these companies have really big call positions. Jane Street Global, UBS Group. And then UBS Group has become one of the top holders in SoFi stock at 20 million shares. Coyote Capital Management, they're really big with SoFi now. The bigger and bigger these positions get, the better it is for SoFi and its investors, guys. Citadel's on here. Charles Schwab Management increased their position by 2%, right? Marshall Wace LLP increased by 88%, coming in around 8 million shares. Jane Street Global Group, really increased their position by 133%. That's what we want to see, guys. That's what we want to see. Some of the biggest shareholders, JP Morgan Chase increased by 10%. ARK Investment Management increased their position by 118%. They now own 4.4 million shares of SoFi stock. Cubist is become a top 20 investor with these 4 million shares they just most recently bought. And then Bit Capital, just 3 million, almost 4 million call options. I'm very excited right now, guys. The iShares Russell Midcap ETF increased their position by 4%. Once we start getting in these funds and these ETFs, man, we're really going to start to see this number that I was talking about earlier, this institutional ownership. I want it to be over 60% and then 70%. A lot of these banks, institutions own the majority of these shares, guys. So it's really exciting news. They just crossed an insane number of shares owned by institutions, 600 million, guys. That gets us back over the 50% threshold here for SoFi ownership. Institutional value, big numbers, guys. Big numbers here. We could see, what's that, $10 billion? Woo, baby, big time investments coming in each and every week. And man, we really bucked the trend here, guys. Pretty much, all year we've seen a downtrend in institutions shaving off shares. And then boom! Yeah, baby. In August, we've seen that huge leap in institutional ownership, bringing us over 600 million shares owned, by institutions for the first time in the history of SoFi stock. But over the past 6 months, it was the first time in a long time we've seen a consistent downtrend, right? Really significant downtrend. If you look over the last several years, we haven't really seen a consistent downtrend. We've seen some, stabilizing of the institutional ownership, some ticks down. Here's a big tick down, but that all kind of happened at once, and we kind of stayed flat for a while. Then we had increase for a couple of years, and then we saw that, 6+ months of a downtrend coming down. But man, we really bucked that trend, guys. Huge milestone for SoFi and its investors. The stock's trading around $23, which is nothing to sneeze at, considering we were right around $7 not too long ago, like a little more than a year ago, right? So 600 million, huge milestone. If you want more updates for SoFi stock, please consider subscribing to the channel. Hit that like button. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for tuning into this community. We just hit 3,000 subscribers. It means the world to me, guys. Thank you so much. Peace.